Hi, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about how you can make more time for your hobbies, such as reading books. And so if you enjoy this type of content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into this video. Okay, so this video is finally here. I know some of you have been waiting for it. This video is going to talk about how you can find time for your hobbies, specifically reading, because that is something that I love to do. It's one of my main hobbies. And so I made a list of things you need to fix if you want to make more time for hobbies. And so let's get into this list. Okay, so the first thing you might need to fix is to set aside 30 minutes a day to do a hobby, whether it's reading or crafting or whatever it is you like to do. And 30 minutes a day might be a little bit much. Maybe you don't have time for that. Maybe 30 minutes every other day or a couple times a week will work out. But sometimes we get so caught up in running kids everywhere and doing just our normal daily routines that we forget we have things that we like to do. And so sometimes we need to intentionally set time to do them and set a timer. Okay, that's why sometimes with homeschool, it helps me become a better mom because I'm being more intentional about the time I spend with my kids. And so we need to set a timer or an alarm or something that's like, okay, take a few minutes and do something for yourself. Okay, the next point is specific more to reading, but it is stop using Audible. Okay, this is easy for me to say because I am not good at listening to books. I actually don't like it. It's really hard for me. It always has been. Ever since I was little, I can remember just like listening to books in like kindergarten and first grade and then having to comprehend and tell the story back. And I just really struggled with it. It was always really hard for me, and it still is hard. If I really want to get something out of what I'm listening to, I have to sit down and take notes. Where I know a lot of people use Audible or other online, books that read to you, basically audiobooks, I guess is what you'd call them. I use a lot of those because they're trying to do other things at the same time. Or you might listen to them in your car, which I have done that on trips before, and that I enjoy. That's about the only time I enjoy listening to an audiobook. But other than that, I don't really enjoy it at all, and I don't get anything out of it. Reading is supposed to be a time to like sit down and relax. Okay, obviously not all books are relaxing. Some are a little bit more intense or require more thinking, but it's supposed to be this time where you kind of let yourself calm down a little bit. Not a time where you're like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this book while I clean the kitchen, while I run and get the kids, while I do all this and do all this. Not saying you can't do that. Not saying you can't listen to podcasts or whatever, listening to things as you go and get some things done while you're listening to something, that's okay. But if you really want the purpose behind reading to fill your life, then you need to stop listening to books and you need to take a break, set that 30 minutes, sit down and read the book and allow yourself to relax instead of, I think a lot of people associate reading books now, or listening to books to running around and being crazy. It's not a relaxing thing because you're usually doing 50 million other things at the same time. And so you can still listen to Audible, you can still listen to podcasts, but make sure if you really want to relax and have that time for your hobby, you need to sit down and actually read the book instead of just listening to it. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is create this paradigm shift that my life is not all about my kids. Okay, don't lose yourself in being a mom. And I know some people are gonna be like, oh, like cringing a little bit, but I feel like we get stuck a lot with that mom guilt and we have a really hard time just sitting down and doing something for ourselves. It feels wrong, right? I guess. I don't necessarily struggle with this, but I know a lot of people that do. And it's hard to be like, oh, I should be spending time with my kids. I should, if they want me to come do a project with them or play a game with them, I should just get up and do it. No, you don't have to. Okay, yes, you're not gonna like neglect them or anything like that. And if there's an emergency, you're gonna go take care of them. But they need to understand while they're important, you also are important. Okay, and you have things that you need to do that help you become a better mom, that help you kind of refresh yourself, relax a little bit. And if you don't learn how to kind of shift this in your brain and understand it's okay to take a few minutes to yourself, you're gonna lose yourself. You're gonna forget what you like to do. You're not gonna have time to read. You're not gonna have time to do crafts or whatever it is. Or maybe you like to just go outside and go on a walk by yourself where it's just quiet. You're gonna lose who you are if you don't help your kids and yourself understand that it's okay that you're not spending every single second with them. Okay, so this next point kind of goes with the last one. So after you have this paradigm shift, you want to establish boundaries for yourself and for others. Okay, you need to teach your kids an appropriate way to treat you. Yes, their time's important. What they want to do, what they need is important, but you also have things that you need to do. So you need to teach kids to be respectful of your time and to honor your time, okay? You don't always need to entertain them, which I think we need to do, that every time they need something or if they're bored, we immediately need to jump in. And we don't need to do that. Okay, but if you have been doing that, it's gonna be hard to retrain yourself and to retrain them. Okay, you need to understand that it's okay for you guys to not always be together. And they need to learn that. They need to respect your time. Okay, so the next point is another one that's specific to reading, okay? It's to use a Kindle. And I've had my Kindle for years. It's an older one, and I have gone through spurts of using it more and not. But the times I've used it the most really is when I have a newborn baby because it's a little bit hard to like hold a book and to flip the pages, you know, you lose your spot all the time, but it's easy to like have a Kindle and you can do it, like read it in the dark, which is helpful, you know, in the middle of the night if you can stay awake. I can't always, I would fall asleep sometimes, but it's nice to have that option, you know, or if you're just in your room right before bed and taking care of a baby, you can sit down and read. And so I really like it for that. Obviously it's useful for other things. You can carry it around a lot of places. It's very easy to put in your bag and not have to worry about ruining a book, you know, like flipping the pages all out and everything like that. And so if you're just sitting waiting for a kid at a practice or waiting for something, you know, whatever it is, you can just pull it out, or at a doctor's office. And it's very easy to get some of that reading done without like putting much effort into it. You just throw your Kindle in there and you go. Okay, so the next thing you might need to fix is your priorities. You know, we prioritize what is important to us. So you need to pick apart your schedule if you want to find time for these hobbies, okay? You need to go through it and be like, okay, what is consuming my time? What is taking up so much time? And I challenge you to make a list of like 5 priorities, okay? And that's it, like no more, because it's really hard for us to focus on more things than that. So I kind of made my own list. I'll look at it right here so I don't forget anything. But the first thing for me would be God, or my relationship with God. And each of these priorities has subcategories of like, what does that mean? Like I do my scripture study, I do my prayers, I go to church on Sundays, okay? And then the next thing would be family. Okay, family is very important to me. And wanting to focus on my family is very important. Making sure we're all getting what we need and teaching them about Christ is also important. And so that kind of all falls under that category. And then homeschool is a huge part of our life. And having my kids' education be my responsibility is kind of a big deal. And so that is another priority for me, to make sure that I am focusing on that. And another one for me would be health or exercise, taking care of my body, taking care, like eating properly, exercising. All those things are important to me, or getting outside and hiking, you know, that all kind of falls under that same thing. And then the last thing, which I couldn't remember, but I did remember, and obviously it's the point of this video, is hobbies and reading. Okay, those are very important to me. Having some time to build myself. Okay, that's kind of what the category would be, time to build myself. And that's very important to make sure that is a priority, even if it's not very much time every day or a few days a week or whatever it is, or like going to book club is also part of that. Like things that are helping build who I am are very important. And so you're gonna look at these things and you're not gonna fill them up with a bunch of subcategories. You can have a few, but you don't want a ton, okay? And then you need to fit these into your schedule. And if there's other things, so maybe one of the things you're spending so much time doing is on social media, scrolling, where does that fit into your categories? Does it fit into your categories anywhere? And if it doesn't, then whoop, it needs to be gone from your schedule, okay? You can still scroll a little bit, but if you can't control yourself, then just get rid of it completely, okay? So you need to go through and look at your schedule now versus what you want your priorities to be, and decide if those things are fitting with your priorities. And for family, I encourage you can have some things where your kids are involved in sports or drama or whatever it is, but not too many. really more than one like sporting thing at a time is too many. I have been there, believe me, it is too many. And I was very concerned about academics and doing well in school. And I was playing a lot of sports and it was overwhelming. Even if your kids say it's not, it is. It is. I was there. I played several sports at the same time and did lots of academics, and it is overwhelming. So make sure that you're being really serious and intentional about this. Okay, if you really want to have good family time in your schedule, it needs to be spent not just watching your kids do something, but being involved together doing something. And I think that's something we struggle with nowadays. And so as we look at our priorities, we will make time for more of these hobbies, for more reading, for more things that we just really enjoy doing instead of all these extras that maybe we just don't like, but we've gotten so used to doing them, we didn't realize how much we didn't like them at all. Okay, so the next thing you might need to fix is hiring some help. I know some of us don't mind hiring help and others of us are like, it's not worth the money, it's not worth the time. I don't like people in my house, which is kind of how I am when it comes to cleaning my house. I don't hire someone to clean my house, but like fertilizing the grass, I hire someone to do that because it takes time and I kept killing the grass. So that takes money, you know, so that wasn't good. And then we also needed I wanted our car detailed. It was so gross, like dirty with kids and everything. So we paid to have someone do that instead of me spending hours upon hours doing something that I don't really know how to do very well. I paid someone else to do it. And guess what? That frees up so much time when you pay someone to do something else. It doesn't mean you're paying for everything or you have to spend crazy amounts of money to hire all this help, but some things we're like, I can do it myself. And you can. You might do it wrong. You might mess it up 50 billion times. You might spend 10 times more money than if you just hired somebody in the first place. Okay, so you could do it yourself. But there are some things that are better just to hire help and it will give you so much more time. So the next thing you might need to fix is setting goals. Goals push us to get things done, okay? So if you're not setting goals for doing crafts or for reading, then you should. It might seem silly, right? To get this many crafts done a month or spend this, you know, it could be a certain amount of time a week on a craft. And again, that might seem a little bit silly, but it really will push you to get it done. And in the moment, it doesn't seem like you're doing a goal, right? Especially if you enjoy it and you love what you're doing, it's gonna be fun. You're gonna be glad that you set time to do it. And that's how I get through a lot more like intellectual books or books that I wouldn't normally read, is by setting a goal to read 4 of those books a month. I can breeze through a lot of books I like in a month, but reading 4 of other types of books is sometimes very, very challenging for me. But when I set the goal to do it, it pushes me. And I'm like, I can't get to the end of the month without achieving this goal. And obviously sometimes I don't hit it exactly or get it that month, and that's okay. But the fact is that we keep setting goals and we keep working towards them. And then lastly, this isn't necessarily a thing to fix, but it's something to remember that it's hard. Okay, sometimes things that we like to do are hard to do. Like reading books, I know that it's important. I like to do it. I like to learn, but there are definitely times when I do not want to read, not even a little bit. Okay, and that's gonna happen. You might not want to do your crafts. You might not want to go hiking. Okay, whatever it is that you love to do, there's gonna be moments when you do not want to do it. Okay, and that's important to realize. And it doesn't mean you don't like it anymore, that you shouldn't make time for it. It just means that maybe you're just having a moment where it's a struggle. And maybe you just need to switch hobbies at that time and try something else you like to do. You know, I kind of rotate between reading and doing crafts as hobbies a lot of times. And so maybe you just kind of need to switch and see if it'll help you throw yourself out of that little gutter you're in or something. But it's okay if it's hard, and that's important for us to remember. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful of just going through a few things you might need to fix. I don't feel like it's revolutionary or any sort of new ideas. I think sometimes that's what we're looking for, is this great revolutionary idea. And a lot of times it's not. It's just very simple, basic things, but we all need to be reminded what those simple and basic things are. And so I hope this maybe helped you remember some ways that you can kind of go back to being a little bit more minimalistic and focus on what is really important to you so that you can have more time for your hobbies, for reading, and for anything else that you just really love doing. And so please remember to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.